Worries that cost you absolutely nothing? It's Your World Today. Serving Salem and Dent County now for over 20 years, Your World Today is 4 pages of information that will take you about 5 minutes to read, and they're available in over 30-plus locations in Salem and in Bunker. Your World Today. Pick one up every weekday. They're free.
At the KSMO Studios, 1340. It's time for our spotlight on the Salem Memorial District Hospital. Lyndsey's with us this morning. How are you, girl?
Great. How are you?
Great. Fantastic. And so you've had a busy couple of weeks here. You've been down and up and early in the morning and heading out of town and taking care of our friends down at Doe Run. Another one of the services our hospital offers. Can I tell people how that kind of day goes?
Yes, we do the Doe Run many physicals from the hospital, and members of the respiratory department and the lab department, we get up really early in the morning, sometimes 2:15, 2:30 in the morning, come to the hospital and pack up the equipment and head down to the different mines.
And that's a lot of equipment.
That is a lot of equipment. Yes, we do all the breathing tests and their labs and their blood pressures and heart rate, and we just do a mini physical, and we go down to the mines, which some of them are an hour and 15 minutes, just depending on the weather and the drive away, and complete all their physicals for them.
You know, and it's just, again, we talk about one of the services the hospital offers, which is very convenient for Doe Run to have a hospital this close that can offer those kind of services, because otherwise they'd have to either go send them over to Rolla or St. Louis or somewhere else. And right here, you guys are able to take care of that, and in the convenience of their backyard.
Yes. And the guys down there are great. The ladies and guys, we go down there and we set up, and everyone's so friendly, and we get their physicals done, and we try to make it convenient for them, because some of those mines are an hour away from here. And so if all of those employees had to drive here, it would be a lot for them as well.
Right, and some of those employees live near Salem, so that wouldn't be a big deal. But the ones that live on the other side in Black and out past Boss, and some of them live in Iron County, that could be a 2-hour drive for them to get here.
Yes.
So, again, a very nice tip of the cap of the hospital for doing that. How many days did you have to go down there?
A lot.
You lost count, huh?
We actually started at the end of August and have been going down 2 to 3 days a week since the end of August to try to get all the employees at the different mines. They all come in on different shifts, and so we try to accommodate doing it in the morning and in the afternoon. That way we can get as many people as possible.
Wow. Since August, so that has been a long time.
Yes.
But you're finished.
Yes.
You're all finished up. Very good. You actually got a chance to sleep in this morning to what, 4? 5 instead of 2?
Well, I have a 6-month-old, so.
Okay, well that'll keep you going.
Yes.
Too. Not much rest for the wicked there.
No.
All right. Well, we are actually here not just talk about what one of the services the hospital does for local businesses and businesses in general, but also here to talk about National Respiratory Care Month. And this is time of year. A lot of times people start thinking, well, we're done with the allergy season. Maybe. But we have a lot of other things going on. We got the flu coming up. A lot of people like to burn leaves. A lot of people like to burn wood in their fireplace. Some people don't handle that very well. And it can really kick up some respiratory problems in a hurry. So you really kind of need to know what your limitations are. But hopefully you don't get it for the very first time, because that's a very scary thing when you can't breathe.
Yes. Right now, the hospital has also started the flu shots as well, and we strongly encourage people that do have, especially if you do have a restrictive or obstructive lung disease such as like asthma, emphysema, the flu, getting influenza along with those disease processes, I mean, it can kill you. So we strongly encourage getting out there and getting your flu shots. And again, knowing your limitations, trying to avoid irritants that could flare up those different disease processes. This time of year, you're still not out of the wood for like allergies. There's still allergies out there. A lot of rain going on lately. So all of that can also trigger inflammation and get the COPD flared up.
Right, but when I talk about people burning leaves. So if you've got oak leaves and maple leaves and sycamores, and you've got somebody out there who might be allergic to one of those trees, that leaf pollen is right in that smoke that's going up in the air, and it can definitely affect somebody, and not in a very good way, right?
Right.
So you definitely want to make sure that you know your limitations. And if you do know of that kind of burn going on, try and get away until they're finished burning those leaves, and then you can come back and it won't be as bad on you. But when we talk about respiratory problems, we talk about people who already know about respiratory problems. But what's that first time? Let's talk about the person who's never had it. And all of a sudden, you wake up, you're struggling breathing. You just can't seem to get that good deep breath anymore. When you see a patient like this for the first time, I'm sure they're kind of scared to death because they don't know why.
Yeah. Well, and being short of breath can cause anxiety itself. If you can't breathe, you're going to be anxious. And if you are experiencing being shortness of breath, you need to contact your physician. If it's more severe, you can go to the emergency room. The Salem has a walk-in clinic as well,
Right.
so you can walk into the walk-in clinic. But there's many different things that can cause shortness of breath. And if you've never been diagnosed with anything respiratory, we do a lot of diagnostic testing as well, so we can kind of find out what's going on.
Okay, so somebody gets the cold. We all know sometimes you start to hear wheezing a little bit because they're congested. It's hard for them to breathe a little bit, and they have to cough, phlegm out of their lungs, the expectorate, and things of that nature because your lungs are filling up a little bit. But some people have that feeling all the time. And if you have that feeling all the time, and if you get even further restrictions, we're talking about this flu shot, how fast that can actually, just be debilitating to you. You can just be shut down in a hurry, right?
Yes, well, and the thicker your secretions get, you can't cough them up. So then they sit in there, and sometimes the flu can also go into pneumonia and different other things, and so it's one after another, because the flu, obviously, it affects the lungs, and the inflammation. So you're having inflammation, you're having of the airway, you're having increased secretions, so it's hard to cough that up if your airways are inflamed, and then you're coughing, which also is an irritant.
Yeah.
So it's
True.
just triple whammy.
Not a good thing.
No,
Not a good thing.
no.
So, try and get that flu shot in. If you haven't gotten your flu shot already, and there are some different flu shots, and we had a chance to talk with our pharmacist who was here a few weeks ago about the different types of flu shots now, as they have changed them up a little bit, haven't they? Some for younger people and some for older people,
Yes.
haven't they? Are you familiar with all those different shots right now, or?
I know that they do make the ones for the infants, and my child is getting ready to get one because he's 6 months, for the infants, and then I know that they also make some for the elderly as well.
So you need to contact your
Different
doctor to
strands.
find out which is the best flu shot. Obviously, if you're an infant, obviously you don't have a chance to call your doctor, but have mom call a doctor or dad call a doctor and get the flu shot for your child. But if you are older, most people will get the normal flu shot, but there are some for older, 65, etc. It's a little bit different flu shot, and they do have some now that aren't made from eggs.
Yes.
So if you are allergic to eggs, which used to be a big problem, you couldn't get a flu shot. They have now got a mix now that does not use eggs to create that vaccine. So you have that opportunity now to get that done too. So that's available. That's available pretty much. Denton County Health Center has that. Most of your pharmacists have the flu shots that can be administered. Get it done. Flu season has already started. We already have had it. Didn't we have one or two cases of flu already?
I'm not for sure if our hospital has received it, but I have heard that there has been reported flu cases.
Okay, so very good. So you want to definitely make sure you take care of that. But respiratory care is very important. You need to understand what affects you the worst and avoid it. Okay? And in the best cases, your own best health is your own best health. You know it better than anybody else. So if you know things that are irritating to you, some people can be irritated by aerosol cans. Just spray aerosols where they can't breathe. It can happen. And so if you have that, obviously you don't want to walk in where somebody's spraying air spray all over the place. That's probably not going to be a good idea for you. Or anything else, even some deodorants and stuff that could be up in the air. Perfumes, a lot of times.
Oh, perfumes are
can
huge.
Be for big problems.
Yes, and they can trigger perfumes, cigarette smoke. If you do have a breathing problem and you walk in where someone is smoking, that could be a trigger for your breathing problem as well. Paint fumes. If you decide to paint cleaning fumes, I know, getting out there and cleaning with bleach and different things, that can also cause some irritation. just inhaling those different fumes.
Let's talk a little bit about that kind of irritation. A lot of people don't understand, Lyndsey, and I think you can explain it probably better, that people always think that, well, one cleaning solution is great, but two of them would be even better. So I'm going to get in my shower, and I'm going to use scrubbing bubbles, and I'm going to use this other chemical, and we're going to mix them up and just see what happens. They can actually put out toxic gases together, and if that gets into your respiratory system, that can burn you, correct?
Yes. It's not good to mix cleaning supplies because of the chemical reaction, because you don't know what is in each cleaning solution, and whenever they mix, they can create toxins, which can actually burn the airway. If you're down there cleaning and that reacts and you inhale all of that, it can burn the airway. And again, the irritation, and it can cause inflammation. And then if you're prone to having, or you have asthma or something like that, it triggers all of that, and then you're in an attack, or you're having difficulty breathing, where you might have to go to the physician and get different steroids and different things to help out with that. But knowing those limitations and knowing to kind of avoid those situations will help with having those breathing issues.
Right, and even with a mask on, some of those toxins are still strong enough to get in there.
Yes.
Now, let's just real quickly, if somebody would happen to do that, when you do burn your respiratory system, it takes a long time to heal, from my understanding, and it may never heal properly. Is that correct?
Yes, and I mean, I've taken care of patients in the past with not only having the chemical burn in the airway from cleaning toxins, but also smoking with oxygen on. Yes, it's a huge no, but they'll have their oxygen on and smoke, and they said that they've been doing it for years, and that one time, poof, and it burns down through the nasal passages and through the oral passages down into the airway, and that can take a long time to recover from those kind of burns. Long time. And not only that, but the facial burning as well. Very painful. Very painful.
What about infection from that kind of burn? Because, obviously we have to swallow all the time. Is there an increased chance of getting infection from that?
Oh, yes. Any open wound like that, there's always an increase of getting an infection, especially internal. You can't really take care of that on the inside.
There's no salve to put on that, is there?
No salve or no bandage to cover that up. It's just kind of open like that. And again, any kind of burn, it's a process for healing, so it's just very painful.
If nobody's ever felt that kind of pain, if you've ever had a hot meal or a cheese get stuck to your roof of your mouth, how long does that take?
Right.
For it to heal? Usually it's about a week and a half, and that's an easy one. The one that gets a little bit further down into your esophagus is not good. Does any type, when we talk about respiratory care, obviously we have a little thing called the epiglottis that helps us swallow and also breathe. Moves one way to swallow, moves the other way to breathe. If you do get these kind of burns, you can actually do damage to your epiglottis where it won't function correctly.
Correct.
And you might actually have problems eating because it's actually going into your respiratory system. Is that not correct?
That is correct. The epiglottis covers to make sure that we do not allow food into our lungs. And if that gets damaged, food could be able to go into the lungs, and you could aspirate food into the lungs, which could cause an pneumonia as well.
Right. Or your epiglottis could become severely damaged and actually swell.
Yes.
And that could cut off your air.
Airway, yes.
Be careful out there, guys. There are a lot of different irritants out there. We all know that. Know your body. Know what's out there. Some people say stop and smell the roses. If you have a rose allergy, please don't. Right?
Right.
You don't want to do that. That can activate too many different things. But watch out for yourself. Know your body, and I guess that's probably the biggest thing we need to push here too for respiratory care. Avoid those things that make you have those kind of problem breathing. At best, some people. We're talking about the winter coming up here, Lyndsey. Some people cannot actually go in that cold air when it gets bitterly cold. It burns their throat.
Yes. Well, and we try, and with the flu season coming up and the cold weather, if you can stay inside, stay inside. I mean, that's the best thing. People go to the different pharmacies and they're out in Walmart and they are sick. And if you are, especially have respiratory problems, easy to contract it right
Very
there.
easy.
Just going out into the public and that cold weather. So if you can't avoid it, please do.
And if you have to go in that cold weather, if you have got to go out, get a muffler or something, put over your mouth.
Scarf.
Put over,
Like,
same idea,
yeah.
scarf, muffler, anything. Put over your mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and that will help you keep that cold out of there, but it keeps the heat of your breath there so the cold air doesn't come in. Otherwise, your breath goes out and the cold air comes in directly. This will at least allow it to be filtered a little bit, so feel a little bit better. Very good. Let's talk, so respiratory care, this is Respiratory Care Week. So we know you've got a great respiratory group down there. You guys do a tremendous job.
We do.
If somebody does have a respiratory problem, please go see your doctor. If you're having issues breathing, if something comes up, maybe you've never had a problem before, and something comes up, call the doctor. Or as Lyndsey said, if you have to, come in the emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
They'll take care of you there, or the walk-in clinic. But if you have a family physician, best to call them and then tell them. And try and keep track of what you ate, because allergies, they can just come up at any time. You may not have been allergic to something all your life. You hit the ripe old age of 40, which you're not waiting near 40. When you hit 40, things change. Or when you hit 30, things can change. I remember as a youngster, I used to love fish, sandwiches, a fillet of fish. I used to eat fish out the world. And then one day at high school, I ate it and my lips swelled. The next time, my whole face broke out. The next time, my throat got extraordinarily scratched. I couldn't drink enough water. No more fish.
Right.
Okay? You need to do the same thing. You need to realize what works, what doesn't work. And don't sit there and say, well, it hasn't bothered me in 25 years. I think I'll go eat some of that deep-fried catfish. Do you want to take that chance?
Right.
Because, now tell me if this is true, the more times that you have an irritant like that, each case will get worse.
Yes, it can get severe as it progresses. If you know that you have that allergy, or you know that you have that something that irritates,
Reaction.
avoid it. Yes, reaction. Please just stay away from it, because again, the more you have it, the more severe it can get.
So please do that, and not as just a favor to me, but do that as a favor to yourself, because and that is not a fun time, and it can get a little scary. So you just want to watch out for that. Very good. Let's talk a little bit about your department. Obviously, cardiopulmonary is what you are the director of, and so that's why you're here, because you get the chance to come and talk to me.
Yes.
But anyway, this is Lyndsey's second time, so she's doing really good. Just tell us a little bit about the services that we have at our hospital for cardiopulmonary, if you would.
We provide, a lot of diagnostic testing,
Okay.
Pulmonary function testing.
Okay, such as?
We can tell if you have a restrictive or an obstructive lung disease. So if you're one of the new people or patients that have never experienced respiratory problems, and then all of a sudden you're maybe getting short of breath walking to the mailbox, or maybe you've had a cough for months and you're starting to cough some stuff up, or you're like, well, this is abnormal, but I've never had this happen before. We can do a pulmonary function test to diagnose if you have a restrictive or an obstructive lung disease going on. And we can also, we give a nebulizer during that test.
Okay.
And what a nebulizer does is the albuterol dilates the airways and makes them bigger. So we can also see if you have a response to the medication, meaning if you do run into problems, if we give you this medication, is it going to help you?
Right.
So we do that kind of diagnostic testing. We also do walk studies to see
Okay.
if patients need oxygen and at what level they do need need the oxygen. We do sleep studies where
Right.
where patients can
And
come
that's
in.
relatively new.
Yes, and that is, and you can get an in-lab study, or we can set you up to take it home and do it in the privacy of your own home.
Okay.
We do EKGs and stress testing, and with the stress testing, we can do the nuclear stress test
Okay.
with nuke medicine, or we can do a regular stress test. We also have a chemical to where if you have problems walking, to where you don't have to get on the treadmill, we can give you a chemical to make your heart rate come up a little bit and get where we need to get to see if
Create
there's
that
any,
adrenaline run.
yes,
Okay.
to see
All
if
right.
there's any arrhythmias.
Very good. Very good. And that's a tremendous amount of services at our local hospital that you can take advantage of. So you don't have to go anywhere else. You can get all that done right here. And if you have an issue, this is the place to get it done. You're right close to home. If they discover something, obviously they tell your physician. Then you can meet with your physician, go from there. But it's always nice to know that you can get these services close to home.
Yes, and we love to provide to the community anything we can, any service available.
Very good.
We love to offer it to the community.
You guys have lately been down at the health fairs too, right?
Yes, and we actually do the pulmonary function testing. We do the spirometry down at the health fair, and it's free.
Spirometry?
Yes. It is free, and what that test does is it tests the airways to see if you have that obstruction or a restriction, and you can come get that free. And we actually, if you want, we will send the results to your primary care physician. And so it's a great way that, if you don't have health insurance, or you're like, well, maybe something's going on, we can give you these numbers and we can say, yeah, you can take this test to your primary care physician, and then they can decide if you maybe need the whole test or if you have a problem at all.
And that was free, wasn't it?
That's free.
That was free.
It is free.
Holy cow. Anyway, one thing that I know a lot of people have always told me, and I've noticed that as I've gotten a little bit older, not much, but I got a little bit older, is you don't retain, because you don't retain as much, I say, oxygen content in your lungs. Or I should say, maybe you don't retain the ability to hold as much oxygen in your lungs. You don't, I guess when you're athletic, you expand your lungs are kept clean. As you stop doing that, you don't, push the air in and out of your lungs as much as you used to. So does that affect, especially when you get used to breathing a particular way and all of a sudden that changes? That doesn't necessarily mean you have a respiratory problem. It just means you might be getting a little older and you just don't do that much. If you don't go run 17 miles anymore, you're probably not going to breathe like you did when you did. Exactly.
Well, and with the diagnostic testing, it's all based on age, height, weight, and sex. Therefore, if, you are a male, you're not going to have the same standards as maybe if you're a male at 50 as a male at 17. The numbers actually fluctuate. Therefore, we have, that way, because obviously you're not going to be able to, again, if you're running 5 miles at age 17, your lungs do age with your body.
Sure.
And so there is different standards, and those go by the age, weight, height, and sex.
So as you get older, if you don't think you can take that deep breath like you used to, you probably can't.
Right.
I remember I had a real good friend that was a swimmer, and he could hold his breath forever, but he could just seem like he could just breathe so long. He just had such a rhythmic breathing that he could just take in 5 gallons of air and then, emit it, and all of a sudden, and I said, how do you do it? And he goes, well, I've been doing this since I was 8. And so, okay. And I thought, okay, well, I never could do that, but that's okay. I never could breathe like that. But then if he would try and ice skate, he had no breath because it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same kind of breathing. So as you get older and things change, or you just do different things that you didn't do before when you thought you were at your peak, you're probably going to notice something a little bit different about your breathing, And also, but remember too, don't overdo it. Don't try and over breathe, right?
Right.
Because that can be dangerous too, correct?
Yes.
Tell us why.
Well, what happens if you are, for instance, sometimes when people come in to do the pulmonary function testing, they already do have, some of them, like COPD. And we get them and we get doing this test, and we do give your lungs kind of a workout because you're breathing different ways you normally wouldn't breathe. And sometimes I tell patients the next day, you might start coughing up more than you used to because we might rattle something loose, or you might feel almost like you're coughing more, or that your lungs are maybe a little bit more heavy, and that's because you have been breathing away that you normally don't breathe, and sometimes that's kind of the over breathing, but that's what we kind of put your lungs under to be able to tell what's going on. So if you're not used to running, and one day you decide to get out there and running, your lungs could feel heavy and hurt the next day.
Very good. Okay. A lot of stuff that goes on. If you have questions about cardiopulmonary, if you have questions about your respiratory, don't put it off. If there's something that has changed, no matter what the season is. Right now we're kind of talking about the autumn season going into winter, but it doesn't matter if it's spring going into summer. It doesn't make any difference. If you have some issues and all of a sudden your breathing has changed or become more tedious or maybe shallow, get it checked out. And our cardiopulmonary department and the respiratory department down there, you guys can handle it. Go to your physician, talk to them, or as I mentioned, if it gets really severe, get to the hospital and get to the emergency room, and they'll get you back there, and they'll start taking those tests. Very good. Are you done? You think you had enough?
Thank you.
Lyndsey, you're wonderful. You're really a lot of fun. Anyway, Lyndsey Roesner, right?
Roesner.
Roesner. I'll get that right. It's only our second time. All right. But anyway, we appreciate Lyndsey coming in, and she is the Cardiopulmonary Department Director.
Yes.
That's correct.
And thank you for having me.
Well, no, it's a pleasure to have you come in and to keep everybody up to date on what's going on. Breathing at this time of year can get very difficult. So please take note of it, take stock in it. If you already have issues that you know about, please be very cautious out there. We don't want anybody to get sick. And, as much as we always love our hospital, they don't really want to see you sick. They rather see you healthy. But if you need their services, they're there for you, and they do a tremendous job for you. Lyndsey, have a great day. And I'm glad you got some rest last night.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Didn't have to go. That's Lyndsey Roesner.
Roesner.
You can beat me with a stick later. Lyndsey Roesner.
Yes.
I will get it. I'm going to put that down on my notes, so I'll get that next time. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate that. Stick around. Coming up next, our Civic Record in just a moment.
Imagine your dream carpet in